Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the advanced filter feature in Excel. Using the advanced filter feature basically means that you're going to go under data and then use the advanced command here, and it's going to bring up an advanced filter window. Now what happens here is you actually have to define an area where your criteria is. This is where you're going to be inputting your filtering criteria. You have your table or your range of data you want to filter from, but in a separate range of cells you're going to have to define what your criteria is. So there's a couple ways we can do this. I actually took this off of the Microsoft Knowledge Base. There's an article there that has about 8 different examples, and I'll go through each one of the examples in this video. So let's start with the first one. So let's say that we have multiple criteria, one column, and any of the criteria is true. Let's say in this example we want to bring out filter out the data or the records for Davilo and Buchanan. So we're going to type up here in our criteria range here, Davilo and then Buchanan. So basically what this criteria says is bring me back any records for Davilo or Buchanan. So to start with the advanced filter, go ahead and click on anywhere in my source table here. Click on Advanced, or we can use our keyboard shortcut. Let me go ahead and give a keyboard shortcut is Alt A Q. It's going to bring up the same advanced filter. So I'm going to be using that keyboard shortcut because it's actually a lot quicker for me. So what I want to do is I want to select my list range. You can see that since I clicked in the table here, Excel is pretty smart enough to kind of figure out what the list range is. Now for my criteria range, I want to make sure I select the criteria that my particular range fits into. So it fits into this particular range here where I have 2 rows where the criteria is. Let me go and select that. And then I want to copy it to another location. What we can do is we can have it filter the list in place. And what happens is it's going to filter this table. So if I click OK, you'll notice now it has filtered that table. You can see that it hasn't really gotten rid of it. Basically, it's hidden the other record. You can see that since Excel has changed the font color of the row labeling here, you can see that row 7 is gone. Basically, it's filtered. Let me go ahead and Control Z to undo that. But let's say that we don't want to filter my table in place. I want to put it into another range of cells. Let me go ahead and press Alt AQ to bring up the advanced filter. So what I want to do is I want to copy it to another location. And let me go ahead and check my list range. That's correct here. Let me go and see what my criteria range is. Let me go ahead and change that because it says D2. It's only going to bring back D2. Let me go ahead and change that and select from A1 to C3. I want that. Press Enter. And then I want to copy it to another cell. Let me go ahead and just select F6. So just start from cell F6 and copy it on. Press Enter. And go ahead and click OK. And now you notice that it has brought back either the records that fit the criteria, Davilo or Buchanan. Right? So that's the first example here. Let me go ahead and just bring this check mark here. And I've done that one. So the second example I'm going to do is I want to have multiple criteria, multiple columns, and all the criteria are true. So basically in this example, I'm going to put criteria in different columns. So let me go ahead and delete this. And maybe I want to have the type is produce. And then I want to have sales that are over 1,000. Oops, greater than $1,000. Right? Let me go ahead now and delete this here. Press delete and see what it gives us. So my criteria has changed, and they're on multiple columns instead of having it on one column, column A and column C. So let me go ahead and press Alt AQ to bring up the advanced filter window. I'm going to copy to another location. My list range is still the same. My criteria range has changed a little bit. Instead of A1 to C3, I only have 2 rows I want my criteria range to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove that 3 and put a 2. So A1 to C2. And my copy, I want to copy to F6. I'm going to go ahead and keep that since it took it from the last one. Right? And so it's going to copy from F6 to H6. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And now you see that it has brought back anything that has produce and it's over 1,000. So these 2 records have produce and it's over 1,000. So now you also notice that it's case insensitive. So basically we have a uppercase P here and a lowercase p. whether I put produce in uppercase P here or lowercase p, it doesn't matter since it's case insensitive. We'll go through another example where we can do case sensitivity and bring that into play here. And that's going to be an example near the bottom here. But this will bring back, this particular example brings back these two records here, regardless of the case. So our third example here is multiple criteria, multiple columns, and any of the criteria is true. So basically this is an OR function. So we're going to put criteria in separate rows but different columns. So what we're going to do here is we're going to keep produce here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. So in this here, I'm going to put down the volio. So basically it's going to bring back anything that has produce, which is these two records here, and anything that has the volio, which is going to include that record there. In addition to that record, right? So let me go ahead and delete the contents in here. Select that, press delete, and go ahead and select this. Press Alt AQ, bring back my advanced filter. I want to copy it to another location. Make sure my list range is correctly assigned, my criteria range. Now, since I've got 3 rows, columns, and of course 3 columns, but now I've got 3 rows that I have criteria in, I have to change that to from A1 to C3. Or I can just do the selection here just to make sure, right? And press enter. And I want to copy it to the exact same range I had it before. Click OK. And now I've got my filtering for the criteria here. So as I said before, we want the volio or produce. So it's going to bring back these 3 records, which it did. So that's the third example here. Let me go ahead and just check off that one. And now we're going to go to the fourth example where we have multiple sets of criteria on one column. So in this particular example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up this way. So in this column, the sales are going to be over 6,000. And they're also going to be over or under 6,500. But at the same time, I want to also look for sales that are under 500. So here we're going to have multiple sets of criteria, but everything's under one column. We're all looking for sales under one column. So for this criteria, it's going to bring back this record because it's over 6,000, but and under 6,500, and it'll bring back this record because this is under 500. So let's see how this works. Let me go ahead and select this column of data, press delete, and go ahead and select under here, press Alt AQ. I'm going to go copy it to another location. My list range is still correct. My criteria range is expanded now, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that and change that criteria range. And it's going to be from A1 to D3, right? Go ahead and click on that to bring it back here. And I'm going to copy it back to F6 to H6. Basically, maybe I can just select F. Yeah, actually, no, that's fine. Let me go ahead and click OK. Oh, and we see what happened. It only brought back one record because it was looking at the field where it's going to define the other criteria, and this wasn't entered here. So I'm going to type in sales up here, and let's do this again. Let me go ahead and select this, press delete. Let me go ahead and Alt AQ. My location, list range is here. Let me make sure that's right. A6 to C10. My criteria range, let me go and make sure this is correct. A1 to D3. All right, press enter. Let me go ahead and you notice that it's defined a criteria name for that. And I haven't figured out why actually it does that. Basically, it's given a name to that range of cells automatically. Let me go ahead and select this again, and it's done that. And basically, it's defined a criteria range. I think Excel automatically does that. Let me go and press enter. But it's defined it as cell range A1 to D3. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now you see that those two records have correctly been identified because it's greater than 6,000, less than 6,500, which this meets, the Buchanan one meets, and less than 500, which the volio meets. So that is going to be the fourth example there, right? So the fifth example we want to cover is multiple sets of criteria, multiple columns in each set. So what this means is we're going to have we're going to use multiple columns in our criteria and also multiple sets. So we're going to have multiple columns and multiple sets. Let me go ahead and show you one example of that. So what I'm going to say here is maybe the salesperson. I'm just going to copy this. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. for Davilio, sales is going to be over 3,000. Right? That's going to be the multiple column part. Now the multiple set part is I'm going to have another person here. Let's say Buchanan. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. And for Buchanan, I want to have it over 1,500. Right? So there's going to be two sets of criteria here. And this particular output will give me Davilio, which is going to be this record. And it's going to give me Buchanan. This is going to say Davilio and so any of the sales over 3,000. And the second criteria is going to give me a Buchanan, and it has to be over 1,500. So this set is that and Davilio and give me records for Davilio and over 3,000, or give me records for Buchanan and over $1,500 in sales. So let's see how this works. Go ahead and select that row data, delete, then go ahead and press Alt AQ. And I'm going to copy the filter to another location, making sure that this is the right range of data. My criteria range has changed, so I'm going to go ahead and select cell A1 to C3, press enter. I'm going to copy the same range here, click OK, and now you see that it's given me Buchanan, which is over 1,500, which is that 6,300. We had two records to Davilio, but it's only going to give me the one that was over 3,000 because there was just one that was 6,500 and the other one was $450. So it only gave me back one record. So that is that particular example where we have multiple sets of criteria and using multiple columns. Right? So let's go ahead and get to the next one, which is a wildcard. So with the wildcard, there's actually about 3 different wildcards that we can use to match characters. So if we use a question mark, what it does is it matches any single character. If we use an asterisk, it's going to match any number of characters. Now, if the question mark or asterisk is part of the search that we're trying to do, we have to precede that by something called a tilde, and that's kind of a squiggly line. That's a key that's above the tab key in most keyboards. But in this example, what I'm going to try to do is I'll just go ahead and try to match anything that has the U in the second place of the salesperson's name. So let's go ahead and change this. I'm going to go ahead and select this and press delete. For the salesperson, what we're going to do is I want to have the first letter be anything, which is going to be the question mark. So as I mentioned before, the question mark wildcard is just any one single character. So the character that I'm interested in is having the letter U as the second letter in the name. Now anything that goes after that could be anything. So any number of characters. So I'm going to put the asterisk, right? So the salesperson basically has to have the letter U in the as the second letter in their name. So it's going to bring back Buchanan and Suyama, right? Let me go ahead and click on this, select that, press delete, and let's start our advanced filter. So let me bring back my advanced filter window, Alt AQ, and I'm going to copy to another location. My list range is still the same. Selected that, and you can see the marquee around the range here. My criteria range has changed. I'm only going to be using the criteria range. I'm basically just going to use that criteria range. Go ahead and click down. My copy to range is going to be the same. Click OK. And now you notice that I've brought back Sumaya and Buchanan because they have the second letter, this U as a second letter in the name, right? It hasn't brought back the other one. So that basically means that any single character doesn't matter, and any number of characters after it doesn't matter. But the second letter U is the one that matters, right? So that's the wildcard criteria. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the check mark down here. That one is finished. So let's go to our seventh example where we're looking for text that matches, that is case sensitive. So basically we have to enter in a formula. So let's say, for example, we had our two produce words. One was with lowercase p, one was with the capital P. And we wanted to bring back the one with the capital P. Let me go ahead and just delete this. What we need to do is we need to use a formula to look for that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. So the formula for looking for the exact match is basically called exact. So I will need to type equal exact. And you can see as I typed in the first couple words, it brought back a list of potential functions. So the exact function is what I needed. Go ahead and double click that. And what I'm going to do is I want to select the since the text I'm looking for is in the first column here under the type field, I'm just going to go ahead and select the first column or first cell that represents that range there, right? So what I want to do now is I want to make sure that this particular text 1 here it matches the capital produce, capital P-R-O-D-U-C-E. And I have to put that in quotes, close parentheses, press enter. Now you notice that I had under this other column here, and if I had this column label there, it's going to look for the criteria under the field sales that matches that formula. So I don't want that to happen. I'm going to delete that. And we want to keep that still there, but we don't have to have a column field there. So what I'm going to do is bring up my window again, my advanced filter window, Alt-AQ, and I'm going to copy it to another location. My list range is still the same. My criteria range, you've seen me go ahead and select the field here, including all the field labels here, but we can also just select that particular field label. Now since it doesn't have a label up there to look for it, it's going to just look at the formula and bring back the records there, right? So I'll show you that it works both ways. If I selected it like just this with the criteria range or with the whole thing here, it's going to work the same. Let me go ahead and press escape and bring back the advanced filter again. Oops, Alt-AQ. All right, so let me copy to another location. My list range is the same, my criteria range. I'm going to go ahead and show you that this will still work. D1 to D2, and I'm going to copy that, click OK. It's going to bring back the one record that has a capital P. Now, let me go ahead and show you that it'll still work with if I select it, oops, Control Z to undo that, delete, press delete instead of removing the columns. Let me go ahead and press Alt-AQ and copy to another location. And my criteria range is of D1 to D1. Let's say A1 to D2. And basically, since everything was blank there, it's not going to look for that criteria. But since it's a blank field here for the criteria range, it's still going to bring back the same results, right? So I'll go and click OK. And now you notice that we still have that particular record with the capital P for produce that's brought back. So just depends on how you want to select your criteria range. Usually I kind of just like to select the whole thing, which indicates the fields that I have for my table. But regardless of how you select it, it should work based on what criteria you have. So that's the example we have for text that matches a case-sensitive search. So let me go ahead and put this check mark down here. Now the last example I want to cover is the one where we're looking at a formula. So in this example, let's just say that we want to bring back records that are greater than the average of all of these. So the average of these 4 records, if we look down here, is 4, 6, 11. So we want to look for examples that are greater than that. So it's going to bring back everything except this particular 450 record. So I'm going to say here under sales, or actually I'm going to say here under this area, I'm going to put the equals where C7, the sales values are greater than the average. I'm going to type av, and then you can see it's giving me a list of functions. I'm going to go ahead and select that, double click to select that. The average of these functions, these numbers, right? Go ahead and press, I'm going to go ahead and press F4 to make sure that that's a absolute cell reference. So it keeps the cell range C7 to C10. It doesn't shift it to like C7 to C11 or whatnot. And so that's an absolute cell reference range. Go ahead and click or press the close parentheses here, press enter, and it says true. Basically that says that's true. That's over the 4, 6, 11, that amount. But let's bring it into my table here, or my range of cells here. I'm going to go and select that, press delete, press Alt-AQ to bring up my advanced filter. I'm going to copy my results to another location. My list range is still the same. My criteria range has changed, so I'm going to go ahead and select A1 to D2. I really don't need to select all of that. I can just select D1 to D2, but I kind of like, it's a habit. I actually like to select the whole range. I'll go ahead and copy it to the location which I've already selected before. Click OK. And now you notice that it only brought back 3 records, right? It didn't bring back the 450 record because, of course, that particular value is not greater than 4611, which is the average of those 4. So that's the fourth example where we are looking for a value that's greater than the average. So we're looking at an advanced filter that is based off of a formula. So that's that particular function. So there you go. That's the advanced filter example. We've got 8 examples here. It's a little bit long, but you can see that there's quite a few ways that you can use the advanced filtering feature in Excel. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.